Hare Krishna, can you hear in the back? Yeah? Okay. Before we get started, the devotees, the pujaris just told me that they've cooked, they were shooting for 108 different dishes. Hey, no. Although I appreciate your enthusiasm. They were at 170 and they lost count. So, you know, these paintings, Prabhupada said, Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the Harekrishna movement, he said that they're windows into the spiritual world. And Prabhupada, and in the Shastra, in the Vedic literature, there's descriptions of how Krishna looks. So one of the artists painted a picture of Krishna. He's thinking Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill, it must be very heavy. So Krishna had muscles. And Prabhupada said, no. It said Krishna's a little fat from Mother Yasoda's cooking. So I just want to do, on behalf of the temple, everyone who cooked something, our temple staff and the congregation, that's a very blissful offering, 170 plus. They actually told me close to 200, so that's something wonderful. Also, stay around for prashad. Yeah, don't leave early. So there's a number of speakers, so I will be quick. Out of duty, I should present just a little philosophy first. Because we hear, and it's true, that, let's see if East meets West here, that Krishna's nirguna, the absolute truth, the cause of all causes, is nirguna, which means without qualities. He's also described as avyakta. He does not manifest. So what is this? You know, we're talking about Krishna, and he has a flute, and he has lotus feet, and so is this just the impersonal, absolute oneness has taken on a temporary material form, or is just anthropomorphical, that we're just dreaming that God has a form because we can't conceive of the inconceivable? Therefore, we've got an imaginary idea that Krishna has a form. What does it mean? Nirguna means, anyone know what nirguna means? According to the Vaishnava and according to Srila Vyasadeva, the author of the Vedas, it means nirguna. Nir means without, guna means qualities. It means without any material qualities. It means not under the gunas or the modes of nature, not under passion or ignorance or even mundane goodness. But it doesn't mean he has no form, it means he has no material form. Vyaktak means he doesn't matter. Us, I mean, you're all great Vaishnavas, took birth to serve Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, but I certainly know myself that I took birth forced by my past karma and my destiny and the laws of nature and so many things. But Krishna, avyaktak, means he does not manifest, he's not forced to manifest by material laws. He appears out of his own sweet will. And Prabhupada, the founder of the Harekrishna movement, gives the example that sometimes I think it just happened, the president or the governor can go to a prison house and release the prisoner. He gives some pardon, something like that. He, the president or the governor, doesn't become a prisoner. Well, there's a few governors and presidents that might not be a bad idea. A political commentary. But just because they're in the prison doesn't mean they become under the laws of the prison. They can come and go as they like. So Krishna appears in this material world in his original transcendental spiritual form as he likes. Just like the sun has set, right? Has the sun set or not? It's a trick question. Somebody said no. Somebody said yes, somebody said no. Yes, it's disappeared from our vision. But the sun is shining. Right now it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, somewhere on the planet. So according to our angle of vision, we can see the sun or not. But the sun is unaffected. Or just like sometimes it's a cloudy day, you can't see the sun. But if you go up in an airplane, you can say, hey, the whole world's not covered with it. The sun is not covered by a cloud. Our limited vision is covered. So Krishna is completely transcendental, independent from this material world. Now, what does it have to do with Radha Giridhari? I mean, they were carved in Jaipur. You can go there and see that the block of white marble from Makrana, and then chip, 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 and the deity came. That's a whole story. We'll tell some other time. But, so how is it possible? Prabhupada gives another example. When electricity comes into this building, most of the time, tonight there's some problem, but in principle, when the electricity comes in, it's one energy, electricity, right? There's not hot electricity and cold electricity. There's one energy, electricity. But according to how it's manifest, it can go into a toaster or into the oven or whatever and make something hot. Or it can go into the fridge or freezer and make something cold. So that one energy, according to how it's manifest, is either hot or cold. So Krishna says in Gita, Aham Sarvasha Pravaho, or what is it, Janmadasa Yataha, that the Vedanta Sutra begins, that everything emanates, everything is caused by, emanates from the Krishna, Karuna, Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. So Krishna is that one energy, but he can manifest it as material energy, he can manifest it in spiritual energy. Just like if we cut off the electricity, this goes dead. It's electrized, or whatever the word is. So Prabhupada coined this term Krishnized. When the current of Krishna flows through something, it becomes surcharged. So that mundane stone from quarried, that's the word I'm looking for, quarried from Makrana, the big block came up. When it's properly carved according to the instruction of the great sages and rishis and realized souls, and according to the Vedas, and when it's duly installed, it actually becomes Krishna. Not a representation of Krishna, not a form so we can focus our meditation. It actually, the deity actually becomes Krishna. Another example Prabhupada gave was, if you want to mail a letter, foregoing going to the post office, what's another way you can mail a letter? There actually was such thing before email. There actually were handwritten letters. Where do you go to mail a letter?
Mailbox.
You go to a mailbox. But why spend all this money on postage? I'll just get a big cardboard box. I'll paint it red and blue. I'll put U.S. mail on it. If I drop my letter in there, will it go? Has to be an authorized mailbox. So when the deity, when the carved form of Krishna is properly installed by saintly persons according to Vedic mantra, it actually becomes Krishnized. So Radha Giridhari are actually Krishna standing before us. It's not just it's not mundane stone, it's not an imagination, it is a fact. So devotees are going to say a number of things, so I'll try to say something that's a little philosophical understanding. Just to give you an idea, Krishna takes special care of his devotees. And as one surrenders to Krishna, or tries to serve Krishna, yeyatam mam prapadyante, Krishna reveals himself. This is how we got this building. This building we're in now. The temple president at the time was Giridhari Maharaj. He was a householder at the time. And they were going to purchase a synagogue. The Jewish community was moving to another facility. And the synagogue out by San Diego State was for sale. Devotees thought, hey, this is a good location. Very nice. And close to the campus, so many things. They actually went into escrow on the building. But they didn't know it was a Harekrishna temple. Oh, something from India, something foreign, whatever. When they found out, the rabbi said, we will burn this building before we sell it to you. Now, in order to purchase that building, the temple, the devotees were on 3rd and Thorn up by Balboa Park. They had to sell the building they were in to have the money to pay for the building they were going to get. The synagogue managed to get out of their escrow. So they didn't have to sell us the building. Somehow or other, we couldn't get out of the escrow on the building by, or whatever it is, Third and Thorn, by the park. So all of a sudden, we had nowhere to go. Nowhere to put the beatings. Nowhere to put the devotees. It was Giridhari Maharaj was up from 4 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock at night looking for an alternative building. Now anyone who knows Giridhari Maharaj, and I offer my respects in this way, he is very frugal. He doesn't waste any Krishna's money. So there was a discount dentist named Dr. Shaker, who had palsy, which came at you with a Novocaine like this. It's true. So he's not a real faith builder. But so Giridhari Maharaj was going to Dr. Shaker, the dentist over here. And he noticed, whenever he came down Grand Avenue, there was a sign on this building. He noticed this building, but he just kept going. When it got to, they had like 2 weeks and they had to move. All of a sudden there was a sign on the building for rent by the month. And Giridhari Maharaj thought, well, we'll rent it for a month. And James Lester was the owner of the building. And I remember he was super nice. So they rented it, they moved in, they found out, hey, it's right by the beach, a lot of students in this area, it's close to, you want to go to UCSD, you want to go downtown, it's a great location. So, and finally, James Lester, the owner of the building, I was the president by this time, came to me and said, would you like to buy the building? We said, well, it's hard. He said, I like you people. He gave us super discount. He carried the financing or the paperwork, and that's how we got this building. So we had our plan, and Krishna moved in with his plan. A personal, because we're thinking of time, the building was purchased in 76 or 77. It was first rented, then it was purchased. We finalized the purchase in 78. But all this was done by Giridhari Maharaj, and actually his wife, Kirtika, was the one who designed. She went to Jaipur, took photos of old temples and palaces and sketches, and she's actually the one who accomplished this. It's an amazing thing. But because there's so many flowers, one day, when I was the president, I got a letter in the mail. And the letter was from the California Franchise Tax Board. Now, usually those are not happy letters. They're not, we like what you're doing, we're sending a donation. Turns out that some years before me, there was a devotee who had a resale number. He had some business, and he had a resale number. And if he purchased the flowers under his resale number, we didn't have to pay taxes on it. And over the course of a year, 2 years, 5 years, it was a significant savings. Now, the devotee moved, the business closed. By that time, our treasurer didn't even know that this was happening. We were getting this deduction. The guy's flower business, I don't know what happened, but he got investigated. They went through all the things. They said, wait a minute, these Hare Krishna people are using a defunct resale number. And it turned out that we owed, I don't know what it was $13,000 in taxes, and it was another $5,000 in late fees, it was another $6,000 in penalties. It was like close to $30,000, I remember that. So I got this letter, I almost had a heart attack. We didn't even know about it. We don't have that kind of money. We have, one of the forms we fill out every few years is that we're a non-profit organization, and it's one of the easiest forms we fill out. It is not hard to convince people, because it's a fact. Whatever we have, we spend for Krishna. So, they sent an investigator. I tried to talk to the lady on the phone, not at all warm, not at all understanding, just cold as ice. So we managed that there was an agent who was going to come and investigate. The man came, my office used to be right down the street. The man came, very official, looked like FBI, gray suit, black tie. Could not get that guy to smile. They say a laughing jury is not a hanging jury. I was trying to warn the guy. We could not get that guy to warm up at all. He came down, and the argument was, what do you use all those flowers for? You're probably not even buying the flowers, and just antagonistic at every point. The man came, walked in the door. He was here just in time for the noon arti. And he saw beautiful Radha Giridhari, decorated with all kinds of flowers. One of the names in the Vishnu Sahasranam for Krishna is Vanamali, one who likes to be decorated with forest flowers. So he was beautifully decorated. The man came down. You could tell that he was moved. He was quiet. He didn't ask a single question. Stood there and looked. Then we walked back to my office, half a block down, in complete silence. The man looked at me, opened his briefcase, pulled out a file, said, "You have a stapler?" I said, "Yeah." He stapled the file shut, threw it in his briefcase, and said, "You'll never hear from us again." And we never heard from him again. So, I mean, that's just one. You're going to hear more stories, but we are mercifully under the shelter of Krishna. Prabhupada said, "You have your plan, I have my plan, and Krishna has his plan." So the thing is, Krishna is real. I was on a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada. Temple presidents, members of our governing body, some sannyasis, this and that. Sometimes Prabhupada was quiet on the walk, just chanting japa. Sometimes he was talking. This walk, he was quiet. Then he stopped, put his cane down, looked at all of us, and said, "I know that you're all atheists, but there really is Krishna." And turned around and kept walking. So, how to realize Krishna in a simple sutra form. Yeyatam mam prapadyante. As we surrender, Krishna reciprocates. You take one step to Krishna, but it's not a one-to-one ratio. Prabhupada said, I was sitting in the room, that you take one step to Krishna, and Krishna takes 10 to you. Prabhupada said, the more you serve Krishna, the more Krishna will reveal himself. There's so many pastimes, we don't have time, other speakers are there. But I assure you, and who cares what I say, Shastra assures you, the great acharyas assure you, that as we offer service, and that service can be very simple. There's a story in the Padma Purana about a mouse. Often in temples in India, especially in the past, they have a bowl of ghee with a wick and it lights the altar. The ghee lamp was just about to go out. There was a mouse who came to drink the ghee. His whisker caught on fire. When he drank the ghee down a little bit, the wick was higher and his whisker lit the wick and it went up. And he got the punya as if he was a pujari offering arti. Got the benefit. So the slightest effort, not that if we could do something big but we do something slight, Krishna's no fool. But the point is, whatever we can do, if we try to offer service to Krishna, serve Krishna by chanting his holy name, by hearing his glories, Srimad Bhagavatam, by serving the devotees, by serving Krishna's mission, by coming and sweeping the patio, whatever it may be, Krishna will reveal himself. To the point Prabhupada said, Krishna will say, "Here I am," and shake our hands. So that is Krishna standing right there. As we serve him, he will reveal himself. Such a wonderful thing, and the perfection of the human form of life. So we can end there. Thank you, Hare Krishna. I don't know who's next.
Thank you very much, Bhadranayan Swami. Our next guest speaker is Giridhari Prabhu. Everybody knows Giridhari Prabhu. He speaks so nicely, so much sweet poetry he's always sharing. So now he's going to share some nectar about Shri Radha Giridhari.
Hare Krishna, everybody. I won't be long. And even if I say something really nonsense, you have these beautiful pictures, so you can't go wrong, I'm sure. I came here in 1989 with the Back to Godhead group. We lived together. The temple at that time was full of devotees. It was a wonderful time. We had 3 residents in Yasi, Mukunda Maharaj, Gunagai Maharaj, Jayawada Maharaj was here, Mahapali Swami actually was here before. And I had always had the good fortune of living in or near a temple with Radha Krishna deities. I joined in 1973. I was with Radha Govinda in Brooklyn, and then Rukmini Dwarkadish in LA, and like that. I went to Miami and back to Philadelphia, where they installed Radha Giridhari. So I've been very fortunate in that regard. So when I came here, I was very happy to see Radha Giridhari, and each deity, as you know, if you travel, if you see pictures of different deities, they have their own unique personality. They're definitely persons. And I was delighted to see how the special mood of these deities, which is one of compassion, of amusement, and mostly this great, how can you describe it? Loving kindness emanating from them, you know. And so, anyone who knows me knows that one of my things that I do is to try to come every day. So for all these years, almost 30 years, as long as I'm in town, I come here to Mangalarti, there for the greeting. And so I've developed a certain series of prayers that I offer to all the deities, including Radha Giridhari. So I'll share a couple of those with you. This first one is from Stavamala, which is by Rupa Goswami, one of the last verses he wrote in his Utkalika Valari, which means a creeper of desire. So it's very much reveals his innermost desires to serve Radha and Krishna in a certain way. So near the end of this poem, he has this beautiful verse. Pashupala Varinya Nandano Bharametam Maharati Yuvam Bhavatu Panayo Bhave Bhave Bhavatori Padam Bhujeshu. Now I've offered that prayer every day that I've been here, about 300 days a year because I travel somewhat. Every morning for the greeting of the deities. And what it means is, O Radha Krishna, children of the best of coward men, this single boon I beg from you again and yet again. In all the countless births my endless sins will make me meet, that all my love flow toward your luscious, lustrous lotus feet. There's another one, because you don't have so much time for the greeting, you're going through, but Queen Kunti's prayers. Srila Prabhupada loved those prayers. If you have access to Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 8th chapter. And near the end of those prayers, the second to last prayer has always been one of my favorites. And when I came here, I started offering to Radha Giridhari. Paime ananya vishaya mati madhutate sakrit vataman vahataradha gange vaughamadhanvati. O Madhava, please ever fill my mind with thoughts of thee, not any other kind. As Ganges torrent flows into the sea, let all my love flow constantly to thee. And this is characteristic of the prayers of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Lord Chaitanya has taught us, you don't pray for anything material, for Radha and Giridhari and Krishna. And what you pray for is the most valuable thing, pure love. And this is what Lord Chaitanya taught us in the Shikshastika. And Rupa Goswami, his followers, has also taught us that. And one more, which unfortunately I'm so derek, I didn't write a poem for, but this one is also one of my favorites. Hantasanda Kadona Sudabjari Purnamana Sadado Pasidatam Durjaneta Dasatam Madevnaja Prikshana Patibhavashtanti. Alas, so this is again from the Utkalika Valari. Hantasanda Kadona Sudabjari. The mountain stream of your intense compassion has overflowed your hearts. He's speaking to Radha Krishna again. Please instill in me just a shadow of attraction for you as a guarantee of some future meeting. So he's praying again for love for Krishna. But describing that as their hearts overflowing with this ocean, this stream of compassion, very much is appropriate for Shri Radha Giridhari. So that's my little contribution. As we all know, the reason why we're sitting here, we have some attraction for Radha and Giridhari. It's the most valuable thing in our lives. We should try to increase it, intensify it, do some practical service. And one thing I've noticed, many devotees have told stories like this. If you go out of your way, you do some special service, try something really that is very intense, then the next time you see Radha and Giridhari, the smile is a little more intense, a little sweeter. You experience the reciprocation in that way. And that's really what Bhaktivinoda Maharaj was talking about, that Krishna is really there. When we have that faith, we can open our hearts to Shri Radha. Thank you very much. All glory to Shri Radha.
Okay, our next guest speaker to speak about the glories of Shri Radha Giridhari is Rajendranandana Prabhu. Rajendranandana Prabhu has been a very wonderful member of our community so many years. He served here as Temple President for a while. He's speaks very nicely about the glories of the Lord. So, Hare Krishna.
Lukam karoti vachalam pungam ekriam yakripatam hanvande Shri Guru Nikarna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchikopatrubhyascha kripasindhubhyacha paritanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I'd like to read one paragraph of Srila Prabhupada's words, if you'll allow. This is from the last verse of the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the most confidential knowledge. Srila Prabhupada says, one should be thinking of Krishna in devotional love. That is bhakti. One should cultivate the knowledge of Krishna continuously. When that is favorable, what is that favorable cultivation? It is to learn from a bona fide teacher. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we've several times explained that His body is not material, but is eternal, blissful knowledge. This kind of talk about Krishna will help one become a devotee. Understanding Krishna otherwise, from the wrong source, will prove fruitless. One should therefore engage his mind in the eternal form, the primal form of Krishna, with conviction in his heart that Krishna is the Supreme. He should engage himself in worship. There are hundreds and thousands of temples in India for the worship of Krishna, and devotional service is practiced there. When such practice is made, one has to offer obeisances to Krishna. One should lower his head before the deity and engage his mind, his body, his activities, everything. That will make one fully absorbed in Krishna without deviation. This will help one transfer to Krishna Loka. One should not be deviated by unscrupulous commentators. One must engage in the 9 different processes of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting about Krishna. Pure devotional service is the highest achievement of human society. So by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the blessings and friendship of my family of devotees, many of you who are here tonight, Chitra and I have been here since 1991. Within a year of arriving here, I got to do some managerial service, looking after the home of Radha Giridhari, the lordships, the devotees living in here, trying to serve the congregation. Srila Prabhupada says that this management is under the category of archana, deity worship. So worshipping of the deity Shri Radha Giridhari is so auspicious. Srila Prabhupada, I remember arriving in Vrindavan in 1977, had a picture of Radha Giridhari on his desk in his room, in his home there in Vrindavan. It's been there ever since that time. We're so very fortunate that their lordships have given us the opportunity to serve them. Srila Prabhupada said that the Bajaris, most of the time, most of the time, most of us, we become purified in devotional service, and by the mercy of the Lord, we will be allowed to enter into the manifest pastimes of Krishna in one of the universes. And there, in the family of Brajvasis, our prem, our love for Krishna, will be fully awakened, fully blossomed. Srila Prabhupada said the Bajaris, however, have the opportunity that if they serve the deities with the proper consciousness, with affection, with love, fully absorbed in seeing to their pleasure, they can go straight to Krishna love in the spiritual world. Either way, we're most fortunate. The Bajaris, when they offer arti, are meant to have the mood that they are representing the spiritual master, offering service unto him by his mercy, and offering on our behalf, those of us who are out in the kirtan mandap or in the kirtan room, the temple room, etc. The devotees are so merciful. The Lord is so merciful. So, in thinking of this occasion, remembered, and I'll paraphrase Srila Prabhupada's words, but I remember when Srila Prabhupada installed the deities in Los Angeles, Radha and Krishna there, the small ones, the first ones, he told all the devotees, he said, you should always be conscious of who Krishna is and who you are. He said, you should feel yourself most fallen and rotten, but somehow or other, my dear Lord, I've come to offer you this. Please, out of your kindness, accept it. Krishna doesn't need anything from any of us. He's surrounded by his loving devotees in Vrindavan. He's at Srimati Radharani's at his elbow. He's fully satisfied. But when we offer something with love from our heart, trying to please him, that being our desire, then he is most gracious. It's stated that Krishna takes the least qualification of one trying to serve him and elevates him to love of Godhead, taking him back home, back to Godhead. Radha Giridhari are so merciful and so kind. One thing that comes to my mind, I have to say thank you to all the devotees. I saw pictures on Facebook of so many devotees picking the flowers. So many flowers have been purchased. So many nice decorations. Maharaj has already said so many foodstuffs. All this devotion is what allows us to perceive Krishna, to have some understanding who he really is. It's the love that brings forth Krishna. Only by the mercy of the love and the compassion of the devotees is Krishna revealed to us. We know we can't approach Krishna directly. It's only through the service of his devotees. And in that regard, as we talk about worshipping and serving and pleasing Radha Giridhari, it's worth noting what Srimad Bhagavatam says. The neophyte devotees are separated from the advanced devotees in one way by this criterion. If one is simply worshipping the deities and not realizing how important each and every one of the servants of the Lord are, and how we should have respect for and jump at the opportunity to assist or serve the servants of the Lord, it is stated that that type of service to the deities is like performing a fire yajna and offering ghee, but you're offering simply into ashes. So as we come here to offer our love, our devotion to Radha Giridhari, please understand that without the sacrifice, without the service of all the devotees who for the last 45 plus years have been serving here, we wouldn't have this shelter. We wouldn't have the opportunity to serve Radha Giridhari. And even though we may not know them, Even though we may forget the service that's been rendered to the Lord, Krishna is so kind. The pure devotees are so kind. They always remember. They don't forget, and they have full ability to reciprocate and to reward those who lovingly serve them. So this temple has had its ups and downs, we all know. Lord knows there are ways in which we can improve our service for Radha Giridhari. Plenty of opportunity for anyone to step forward and help in the service of their lordships and the devotees. But we should remember that it is by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Nityananda and Srila Prabhupada that we know anything about Radha Giridhari. And they want us to share the glories of Radha Giridhari to anyone and everyone. The Lord loves everyone as much as they love us or love any of their pure devotees. And as long as the preaching spirit is there within this temple, within us, then things will go on. Then Radha Giridhari will tolerate and accept when we offer things, even when they're not to the highest standards that our spiritual master has asked us to come up to. This aspect of serving those who could be given the opportunity to serve Krishna is most important. Those who serve their lordships, they become very dear to the Lord. They become dear to us who want to serve the Lord. We have wonderful devotees here. On their behalf, on your behalf, I thank all of them. On their behalf, we thank you. Because without the congregation, what is this ISKCONSanDiego? And in closing, Srila Prabhupada named Radha Giridhari exactly, Radha Giridhari. And this temple, it's not that it's just a label that sounds nicer than ISKCONSanDiego, but this is New Govardhan. Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, they both pray for the mercy of Govardhan to please give us shelter at the foot of Govardhan. Let us have our home in Govardhan. They pray that you can fulfill all our spiritual desires of service to the Lord and His devotees. So New Govardhan is not simply a name. When you realize that this is not the statue of Krishna, that this is Krishna, when you realize that chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that we are associating with Radha and Krishna. They're dancing on our tongue when we chant. When you have this understanding, then we can appreciate this is non-different than Govardhan. How do I say it? In Vrindavan, it's great. It's the best place in Vrindavan aside from Radha Kund. We're so fortunate and we're being offered so much by the grace of Srila Prabhupada and His devotees. I'm thankful for all the service and the association that you've rendered to the Lordships and that you've been kind to me all these years. But please, continue being kind. Please continue trying to serve the Lordships and the devotees to the best of your ability. May Radha Giridhari bless us all. Srila Prabhupada Ki! Radha Giridhari Ki!
Harekrishna, thank you very much. Our next, and what we'll have to do, because the program is running a little bit late, each speaker will have to try to keep the time, go down a little bit. We'll just ring a little bell in the background to let you know. But our next speaker is Dharma Setu Prabhu. Dharma Setu is another godbrother, and our one of our main temple priest, just a very nice devotee, speaks very well in Krishna consciousness, and a very dear friend. So he's been here many, many years, and be able to share some sweet thoughts about Shri Radha Giridhari.
I should mention that Dharma Setu joined ISKCON, became a full-time devotee at 14 years old. I've been here. By Krishna's grace, I haven't been thrown out yet. I've been here since 1978. When I came, Dharma Setu was already serving very nicely.
Hare Krishna. I'm going to stand up and speak if that's okay. It's to the benefit of all of you, because if I sit down, I'll talk longer. So the first time I came to see Sri Radha Giridhari was the last Sunday. The temple was there on 33rd and Thorn. My wife-to-be, Johnny, and I came here to San Diego for a visit. We came to the temple and walked up there, 3rd Avenue, whatever, and there it was, the temple. And we sat for the Sunday feast. Mahatma Prabhu was giving the Sunday feast lecture. And as Maharaj pointed out, there were 2 buildings there. One was sold out from under them. So all the devotees and the deities were in the same house. So it was very cozy, very, very cozy, that Sunday feast. And then we came here, and this building was just a box. And the deities were here, and then we had to go back to the East Coast, and we moved here officially in January of 1978, the same month that Bhadra Maharaj came. So both of us came in 1978, and Krishna's never alone. When he comes, he brings his devotees with him. Krishna's never alone. And one thing I'd like to say, it's my great fortune to be able to assist Srila Prabhupada in his service of their lordships and all the devotees here in New Govardhan. And Krishna's never alone. He always brings his devotees with him. And you could say 40 years is a long time. And there's 2 things I've noticed in those 40 years about serving Sri Radha Giridhari, is that they always make the arrangement for very sweet devotees in this community, right? The devotee staff and all the congregational members. He surrounds himself, because he is so sweet, he surrounds himself with very, very sweet devotees. And the second thing I've always noticed about New Govardhan is no one ever goes hungry here. There's in the Govardhan pastimes, there's that Aniyor, when Krishna's calling for more, and there's that village there. There's never, ever a time when anyone can't get prasadam here. In fact, usually we get a little too much, if there's such a thing. So, wonderful, wonderful devotees, and plenty of prasadam, and that's, I think, part of Radha Giridhari's mood. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Dharma Setu Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Now we have another member of our congregation.
I have to sit down because I have to read something, and I can't hold the mic for it. So Sandamani Prabhu asked me to read something for her, so I'll read that before I share my own realizations. For those who don't know, Sandamani is the temple president in Tucson, and she was the Sankirtan leader here for many years, for the league. A celebration of the installation of Sri Radha Giridhari would not be complete without the recognition and appreciation of Kirtika Dasi, at that time the wife of Giridhari Das. I met Kirtika in 1974 when I came to the San Diego temple as a new devotee. She immediately engaged me in sewing for the deities. She and Bhagavati, who was the treasurer at the time, created the most elaborate and opulent deity dresses, all by hand. They made the outfits and backdrops, and even handcrafted gopis to place on the altar, as well as carving and constructing the ornate wooden altar itself. Although the temple consisted of just 2 houses, one for the temple kitchen and another for the household, one for the temple and kitchen, and another for the householders, we had a dedicated sewing room where at any time you could find Kirtika and several Matajis sewing, beading, ironing, and planning the next outfit. As the temple residents were increasing and the neighbors growing less tolerant of the noise, we knew it was time to find a new location. Kirtika, myself, and Giridhari stumbled upon the present temple while looking for a health clinic to get our shots for our 1977 India trip. It was a former Elks Lodge that was quite run down and needed unlimited renovation to make it into a fit Vaikuntha residence for Sri Radha Giridhari. Kirtika immediately got to work drafting elaborate plans for a gorgeous temple room, showing them to Prabhupada personally in India in March of 1977 for his approval. Meanwhile, it was under super austere conditions that the devotees were living at the temple, even including showering at the gas station bathroom next door. What to speak of cooking in the temple room while class and artik were going on, with no water except the spigot outside, and using bottled propane gas which blackened the pots and all of us who were cooking. Mahatma Das was acting temple president while we were in India, decided it was too much to wait for Kirtika's grand plan, and wanted to put up paneling in the temple room just to get it functioning properly. Upon arriving back in the States and calling the temple from New York, Kirtika found out about his plans and firmly nixed it, saying Prabhupada saw her grand design and endorsed it. Upon getting home, Kirtika immediately went into action and designed the molds for the temple room architectural features. She also did the casting, painting, gold leafing, etc. She worked night and day with a crew of devotees to manifest this beautiful artistic temple room which you see today. Even though in poor health, she gave beyond 100% to oversee and perform all the tasks required to decorate the temple from floor to ceiling. Without her inspiration and determination, we would have merely had what the devotees dubbed Giridhari's bargain basement. Kirtika performed every act with full devotion, masterful expertise, and an unflagging willingness to utilize all her talents in Lord Krishna's service. It was an honor to know her and work with her, witnessing the creativity, finesse, and love for Radha Giridhari. She was the mother of the temple and original inspiration behind the high standard of deity worship we established and carried on in the San Diego temple. All glories to Mother Kirtika. So, meditating on Sandamani's offering reminded me of the first opportunity I had to do direct service for Radha and Giridhari. When I joined, we were still making all of the deity outfits here in San Diego. And one of the services was to help sew the beads onto the cloth so it could be made into a really gorgeous outfit. And what I especially remember about that was how enthusiastic the devotees were to engage others in serving Radha Giridhari. I was brand new, not initiated, didn't even, contemplate initiation. But still, I was invited to help serve the deities in this way. And, you can see from these photographs, some of those outfits and the backdrops, they were so beautiful. And all of the Matajis, all of the Vaishnavis worked together to make these really beautiful, opulent outfits. It was a nice kind of camaraderie. And it helped me to really appreciate how when the deities are the center of the community, everyone has a common goal and people can get along in pursuing that common goal. I know that Krishna reciprocates with us because Radha Giridhari have allowed me to do services for them for which I am not qualified. I can't sew and I can't cook. And yet I've been allowed to do both of those things for the deities. So I know that it's a question of love, and a question of mercy, not necessarily qualification. And then I'd just like to share two little experiences that for me typify the mood I would like to have towards Radha Giridhari. When I first joined, this would have been in the late 80s, during Mangal Arti, the men would stand in the front and the ladies would stand behind them. And, that was just the way we did it. I accepted that as normal. But one day, the decision was made and announced in the morning that the men would stand on that side of the temple room and the ladies would stand over here by Srila Prabhupada. So for the first time during Mangal Arti, I could get close enough to the altar to actually see the faces of Radha Giridhari. And it was such a special experience. I don't know how to explain it. But for days, I was just flying high on this new experience at Mangal Arti. I was at a home program and someone mentioned to me that the temple management was thinking about switching back so that the ladies would stand in the back again. And I don't know if you remember this, Giridhari Prabhu, but I went up to you and I asked you if this was true. And you said, yeah, there was some talk about it. And I don't know what happened. I still don't know what happened. But I just burst
I was the
into
president
tears.
who wouldn't let it happen.
Okay, that's good. And it didn't happen. But what happened when Giridhari said that was I just burst out crying. And I didn't know why. But the thought of having been able to see Giridhari's face and then not, even though there were plenty of other opportunities to see his face, it's not like, we couldn't do that. But somehow that just struck me at the core of my heart. And meditating on that recently, thinking about what to say tonight, it made me realize that I take seeing the deities for granted. That we don't realize what an amazing opportunity we have to come and see Krishna face to face, to do some service, to clean Krishna's house, to sweep Krishna's patio. And I think it was Christian was out there just now painting Krishna's fence, So these are wonderful opportunities, and we should appreciate them. And then the last little bit I'd like to share. Some of you here remember Naveen Krishna and his family. At this time, I guess it would be the late 80s or early 90s, his youngest son was 2 years old. And every morning at Guru Puja, all the mothers would come and our children would be here. And, they would have a great time in the kirtan. Well, as you know it, at Snanayatra, right, after the bathing of Lord Jagannath, he is ill for some time usually, and he's not on the altar. And when this 2-year-old Abai, at greeting of the deities, they open the curtain for, Varni Tai. They opened the curtain for Radha Giridhari, but then they didn't open the curtain for Lord Jagannath. And little Abai just dropped to the floor, literally dropped to the floor and began wailing at the top of his lungs. And it really made me think when Krishna says when Prabhupada said that you have to cry for Krishna like a child for his mother. That was exactly what was happening there. He wanted to see Lord Jagannath, and his heart was broken because he couldn't. So I'm praying that someday I'll feel like that. Thank you very much.
Also, thank you for sharing about that. Okay, our next speakers, we'd like to welcome up Padmana Prabhu and his wife Sampada to say a few words about Shri Shri Radha Giridhari. I'm not sure where Sampada is right now. Oh, here she comes. Okay, great.
You just sit on the chair like Lord Shiva and Parvati?
I was just thinking that we may want to try to slip a chair up here so that there's seating for both. Or can you fit on the edge there? Yeah, there we go. Harekrishna.
Let's Sampada speak. Okay. So actually Sampada's been here longer than me. She came just about the time when the temple had just been purchased. Right? So she'd been here a very long time, and also Parashakti. I wanted to mention some names. Some of you will know them. Some of you may not know them. First and Domini. This is just names that came to mind of devotees that lived here when I came. I came in 1980. I was living in the Gunbi before that. So, Sindhamani, Amatabi, Raktak, and Dimon, Namasetu, Vadri Mahatma, first Gandharvika, and Purusha. Where do you think all these photographs came from?
He won't do it. So, big personalities, President of the United States, head of this, big movie stars, they have a personal photographer. So Radha Giridhari is the supreme Adipurusha.
Yes.
They have their personal photographer. So, first, just for 2 minutes, just walk out there for a second. For darshan on the, on the website and the books, Purusha say, there we go.
And of course, Parashakti was here back in, I think, 1977. I think Sampada and Parashakti came about the same time. And of course, Yudhisthira. I just want to say some interesting pastimes that I knew about. I was living in Laguna when they first got the temple. There were some local hooligans. I don't know the whole story, but there were some attacks on the temple. And they threw different bombs in here, and they were just harassing the devotees. So they would come down the alley, right? And so the devotees would be up at night waiting for them. They laid a trap. So the people came up in their car and stopped, and the devotees put boards with nails on them, ahead of the wheels, so they can go anywhere. And the devotees dressed up with a hockey suit or a hockey stick. All those guys out to beat the devil out of them. So they couldn't leave. Then the cops came. And when they found out that we had done this, it's like, oh, thank you very much. We've been looking for these guys for a long time. Now, here's another story. Years later, there was a devotee in a parking lot up at what used to be, it's where the Trader Joe's is now. Like a big parking lot up there. And they overheard some guys, talking about the Harekrishna. Oh yeah, and then years ago we found out that, those guys, some of those guys were like, ex-Green Beret, they beat us up real bad, so, true story. So I came down in 1980 being invited by His Holiness Giridhari Swami. So I was just a mechanic, I was working on his vehicles and stuff like that. So I just remember, coming here, and the mood of this temple, pretty much the stage is set when you come in the temple room. This is the sweetness of Sri Radha Giridhari. Now, if you go to Los Angeles, it's called New Dwarka. For those of you who know what Dwarka is all about, when Krishna was a king. And he had 16,000 palaces and everything's big, 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 and a lot of reverence and that sort of thing. The mood here is more in the mood of Vrindavan, which is much more intimate and very, very, very sweet. In 1990, my wife and I decided somehow we were going to move to India. Well, Radha Giridhari wouldn't have it, so they dragged us back. So anyway, so a lot of memories. I could talk for hours about things that went on here, but this temple is something very, very special, and there's no doubt about it. And there's a reason why Srila Prabhupada had the deities on his a picture of the deities, because they're very, very beautiful and very, very attractive. So I'm going to give some a chance.
Well, I came here to San Diego in July of 1977. That's when Radha Dasi was saying, Sandami was mentioning that we had the kitchen, and when I came, the kitchen was in the middle of the temple room, and the brahmacharis were using the restroom and the gas station on the corner down the street. And so I'll just say, I don't know, just a few of the things that I remember. One time, now I don't remember if it was when we put the Shrina signs on there, or if they were fumigating the altar, but we took all the deities, went upstairs in a little room up there. The Brahmachari ashram is up there, but there's stairs along the side of the building here. And all the deities went in this tiny room upstairs, and we took turns, the men and the women, doing Mangal Arti upstairs. So one day all the women would be up there, and the men would be down here with Srila Prabhupada, and then the next day all the men would be up there, and all the women would be down here with Srila Prabhupada. And that was until, like I said, I don't remember if that was the Sringasan installation or if that was maybe an older, but I remember that. And we used to make really beautiful petal garlands. We had this really nice girl, her name was Hedda, and she made the garlands every single day, and she would use carnations and then cut them. So you can kind of see a lot of these older pictures that Radha Giridhari had these really beautiful long petal garlands, and we would have those garlands every single day. I've had the great privilege of I got initiated in 1978 and started dressing Radha Giridhari, and been dressing them to this day. Well, I took a break for a lot of years, but so they've been very merciful to me. I really deserve it. Anyway, that's
Thank you both very, very much.
There was a little devotee named Govinda Dasi who she did all this. She would stay up at night on a scaffold, and she was the one who painted all around the top of the room here, all the gold leafing. She did all the gold leafing all around the room. She was the only one who did it on a scaffold, and she would stay up all night long, every night, and did all the gold leafing.
Hare Krishna, thank you both very, very much. And right now, Dayanidhi is going to be coming up here, our head pujari, and he's going to say a couple of words. While we're waiting for Dayanidhi Prabhu, it's so sweet to hear the mood of their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Giridhari. Because Krishna is unlimited, he has unlimited features. And just like he appears as Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, so merciful in giving out the holy name and love of Krishna. And Lord Jagannath, Lord Baladev, and Lady Subhadra, giving out so much mercy so often. In the mood of Shri Shri Radha Giridhari, my wife would remind me, Jai Shri, she'll remind me that Krishna's just a young boy, and he's in a very pleasant, loving mood. And Giridhari is a lifter of Govardhan Hill. Just with his little pinky, he lifted a huge mountain and gave shelter to all the residents of Vrindavan from the you couldn't even conceive of how intense of a storm it was that Indra threw his full wrath at Krishna and couldn't do a thing. So New Govardhan here, it gives us shelter in the same way. All of you are here. You're all devotees of Shri Shri Radha Giridhari. And, it's so sweet that, just to think in that mood of how kind Krishna is, in the mood of a young cowherd boy, in a loving, kind, auspicious mood, that he's there to give shelter to all of us. And just as he gave shelter to all the residents of Vrindavan under Govardhan Hill, we can think of Krishna in that way, that we're here as a nice community, a loving community, serving Shri Shri Radha Giridhari, serving Srila Prabhupada, and taking shelter of that sweet boy, Shri Shri Radha Giridhari, Shri Shri Radha Giridhari, in that mood of the cowherd boy lifting Govardhan Hill. So I want to turn this over to Dayanidhi.